Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Nancy Allen. I appreciate you being here today. I serve as Executive Director for the National Consortium for Health Science Education. And one of our goals is to provide professional development to our health science teachers that we're honored to serve. And one way we do that is through these free Wednesday webinars. And we do those once or twice a month. And so they are always posted. You can register on our website at healthscienceconsortium.org, right down here. And then across the top, there's a little bar that says webinars. You can register there. We do archive them once the recording is all ready to go. This will be archived on our website. So if you want to go back to it, or if you want to refer to your friends to it, it will be there. And we're looking to group our webinars. Currently, they're just all there since the beginning of time. And so we're thinking about putting them in a little bit better order so that certain topics are together, and it makes it easier perhaps for you to navigate. We do have two famous people with us today that help. Oh, not you. I wasn't talking about you yet. So we have our two officers from our Health Science Educators Association, in addition to the presenters. So Karen Edwards, if she wants to wave, she's the president of the Health Science Educators Association. And then Lissa Bartle is with us as well, and she is the president-elect. So if you ever want to know any more about the teacher organization, that's on our website as well. I did want to say to John Rocks, I know John has been with us before, and he's from Delaware. And John, I think I owed you a message. You asked me if your membership was current with HSEA, and actually, I'll call you out. I didn't see your name there. So you had asked me that. So I'll just tell you in front of everybody. So we're very honored today to have Erika and Ellen with us. They've been with us. I think, is this the third webinar that you've all provided?
I don't know. It's been so many, we lost track.
Yeah.
No, the third or the fourth.
Three. And I know that you may remember them, folks. They were with us in Cincinnati at the 2021 National Health Science Conference. And I just took that slide off, and I need to stop. Did I stop share so that you all could share? But I did want to just do a quick blurb about our upcoming National Health Science Conference that will be in Seattle, and it'll be October. The pre-conference will be on the 16th, the Monday, and then the real deal will be the 17th through Thursday, half day, the 19th. The information about the conference is not on our website yet, but it will be in a couple of weeks. We also provide request to attend letter so that you can fill that out and send it to your administration and beg them. And it has all the information there about why you should be supported to attend that conference. So with that, Erika and Ellen, I keep wanting to say Elaine. I know they're really Lucy and Ethel, and so that's what's confused. But you're in for a treat. They both have been classroom teachers, and this is still their passion to support health science teachers. So with that, I'll hand them the microphone, and they can tell you what they want you to know about themselves.
Okay.
Welcome, you guys. And thank you for coming to the webinar on a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. I know some of you are heading home from work. Some of us retired and came back.
She's talking about herself.
Yes, I am. I retired and got bored after 6 months. There are only so many gym classes you can take. And so I came back to teach on the collegiate level. So I guess I'll start with my background, and then we'll parlay into yours. I am Dr. Erika Ijames Wilson. We always call ourselves Lucy and Ethel. If you've seen us before during the presentation, you'll know who's Lucy and who's Ethel. There are certain clues that'll give it away. but I retired last year after 30 years of service with Cobb County School District. I am the biology, the science teacher, but when we decided to do this, she was the content person in the health science and I was the creative person. And so we put our stuff together and our passion for teaching and science and health science to come up with some great practical, useful things for teachers to be able to do in the classroom. And the best part about it is a lot of this stuff can also be done if you have a sub day and you're like, I need something, take some of this stuff out, give it to the subs. If you're going to be out on extended leave, snow days, any of that stuff, our stuff works really well with that. So,
Okay, my turn. I am Ellen Katzowitz. I was a microbiologist for about 14 years, maybe. And then I kind of parlayed, as you say, that word, into the schools. And I became a health science teacher. In Georgia, we say healthcare science, but everywhere else it's health science, where I taught for 25 years. The last 10 years, we taught together. And we ended up doing this because we had fun together and we liked creating this together to give teachers ideas. So how to better communicate. And this really worked well with COVID. I want to tell you that this presentation is jam-packed, and we're going to go fast, which is fine for a New Yorker. If you have questions, put it in the meeting chat and we will try and get to it. Afterward, we'll have a few minutes at the end and we'll answer any questions that we haven't answered in the meeting chat and any other concerns that you might have.
yeah, we have two computers going here, one for the content and another one where we can type. So, and if we don't get to it, hopefully we'll have time at the end to actually also answer questions.
And we're so glad to be here with you guys, really.
Yes, we are. Okay, we always start our presentations with some general disclaimers because what we notice is with our almost combined 60 years of education now, we know like all teachers, you'll come in one year, this standard, this practice is gone, we're doing this now, this is gone, we're doing this, and there's some really good ideas that we have to throw out. And what we decide to do, let's bring them back and modify them and update them. So it's like everything old is new again. And we're trying to make sure that we're able to do things that really, really reach the students, like the best of our 60 years of experience. Safety, working in health science, you're going to have a lot of materials that we got to make sure that the students are safe. What we've done with this is part of our Medical Science 102 packet. Some of you may be familiar with our Medical Science 101 stuff. And with Medical Science 102, what we've done is we've combined health science and the advanced health science standards with anatomy and physiology. So we know that there's some teachers that their students come in and they may not have had the anatomy and physiology. We have a corresponding part of the curriculum that goes with each of the modules that is related to anatomy and physiology. Okay. We got to make sure the kids wash their hands. We know that we're post-COVID, post-flu. What else was out there? Our post-RSV, we're coming down the hill from that, but we know that we still have the cases. So making sure hands are washed at the utmost, because these are things where they're actually going to be getting up, moving around and interacting with one another. And whenever possible, we have a rubric or some competency sheets to go along with a lot of the practices that we have for the students to do. So it's easy for the students to do self-evaluations, peer evaluations, and for you to ultimately do the final evaluation.
And this could really be used on homeschool students out for a long time. I don't know how it is in your state, but in our state, we have this for students during COVID. All the modules, we had so many modules that were taken up by teachers in our state that were used for, and other states actually, that were used for the kids. And so a lot of the competencies we use and the rubrics, they can easily apply it.
And we tried to make it where the activities could be done at home
Absolutely.
or a minimal amount of money needed as possible.
Okay, now
Okay.
we have the standards for this webinar. Now, I was hoping Nancy would have like gone away by now because I forgot to update them because there are new standards. And unfortunately, they're pretty much, I think they're pretty spot on, but don't, Nancy, I will update them.
There are very, very few changes. So I don't think there were any changes in the anatomy.
Okay. And I
Because
said,
the
oh,
body doesn't change, right?
but here's the deal. This is for national. Every state has their own set of standards. Every district has their own set of standards that they usually use from their state. So the teachers are probably going to use their own set of standards, but not to make this any less. I mean, sorry, Nancy.
No,
But what are the odds you were going to be here?
no, what we expect is they just align their curriculum to the national standards, not that that they just make sure they cover what's in the national standards in their state curriculum.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we added some more. As you see in this one particular presentation, we have 2 pages, or do we have 3? No, 2 pages. We have 2 pages of standards. That's a lot of standards that you could use. So you teachers could prove that you are using these standards, and they're, as you see, they're from all different places, 2, 4, 7, 10, whatever. Okay.
Okay. So in this, hour that we have together, some of the things that we're going to do, we're going to have some activities, how to read an x-ray, the goniometer, use a range of motion activity, and something that we thought of last semester. Great ideas to do an art museum with the muscular wing that we're going to do. We're going to talk about the case studies. Every module that we have, we try to put a case study in, a way to get students talking about what we're going to be doing. General discussion about PT versus OT, or PT and OT, the modalities, dry needling, which I love, fun muscle facts, talking about how muscles get their names, and of course, medical terminology and anatomical directions. Really big in this unit, along with skeletal, a lot of things like that. So we have medical terminology throughout the whole, all the modules. But in this one in particular, the students have to really know it because it's about naming the muscles as well as where to find the muscles.
Okay. Now, the first thing that we do in all of our modules, this is to draw the students in. This is our hook, is we do a case study. Now, where do we get the case studies? From our mind. Because a lot of these have happened, more or less. Or I mean, and you can look up case studies if you want to, but they're easy to do. They're more fun to do when you come up with it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing and insult your intelligence, but I'm going to tell you briefly what we're looking for, and feel free to use any of this stuff. Hopefully you'll be able to use it. So anyways, basically what I talked about, members of a ski team, like an extracurricular activity. And unfortunately, 3 of the students, they go to the mountains, they ski, they have a good time in Vermont. And then unfortunately, 3 of the students got hurt and had to be put on ski patrol. And luckily the athletic trainer, and I know my athletic trainer is out there, was there, and she checked them out, and they weren't considered extremely serious. One tore her right meniscus, somebody strained his back, somebody sprained their ankle, and go to the next page, please. And so on and so forth. So we go through it, and that's our lead into the module, our segue into the module. We talk about x-rays in there and about physical therapy or PT, and using crutches. I mean, you could add crutches as a competency, using crutches, using canes, all that you guys could do. I mean, the sky is the limit. And of course, I know my athletic trainer is very happy that she's watching this. One thing that I do that I thought I would remind you, I didn't have to, but we talked about sprains and strains. Now we have a module that we use that we have in our other, I guess in our other book, 101, is it?
Yes.
It's strains, sprains, and fractures. But this is a great review. It's on the skeletal system. This is a great review for strains and sprains, because who doesn't get mixed up between a strain and a sprain? Now, of course, you know that the strain is it's when the tendon is messed up and it can't connect the muscles to the bone, and it's typically called a pulled muscle. A sprain is the ligament that connects bone to bone. But I know you guys know that. Okay, next.
And I would say with strains, sprains, and fractures, I don't know if you mentioned it, we don't talk a lot about it in this particular module, because we have another module where we put strains, sprains, and fractures with the skeletal system. So we tried to see how we could pull this out to maximize a lot of the information that they would be able to have.
Good job, Erika. Good job. Okay, this next slide is just for your general information. We don't have time to go through it. Maybe at the end, if we do have time, I'll be happy to go through it, but it's just general information. It's for your use only, or actually to teach your students about rehab. So I'm not gonna further dwell on this. If you do have a question, we will give you our how to contact us at the end. All right, next is, okay, occupations in PT. So physical therapy consists of the physical therapist, the physical therapy assistant. We're at a community college right now presenting, and they actually have a PTA program, and physical therapy aides. For the first two, you need post high school, and for the aide, you could have on the job training or just a high school diploma. So what does it do? What do these do? With the PTs, they just help focus on the patient's movement and coping with pain, and they give them exercises. Now, a PTA, or the physical therapy assistant, isn't much, it's not much different. Education is key. Right now, for the PT, you need a doctorate in physical therapy. For the PTA, you need about 2 years of post-secondary school. Big difference is the PTA cannot evaluate the patient, and they cannot set up a patient care, the plan for the patient, or discharge a patient. And there are tons of jobs for these two. Another difference is PTs make a lot of money.
What is the salary range? Because I know that when we're teaching, that's coming up.
Yeah, that's on the
Because
next.
I was going to say, when we're teaching them, when they hear about more school, we get eye rolls. And then if they hear about money, we get, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're very happy. So in 2020, PTs made about 91,000. The job outlook is great. I know at my PT place, they are begging for PTs, absolutely begging. They are so short. And the physical therapy place that I go to. Same thing for the PTA. It's quite substantially lower, but the education is a lot shorter. And also it's like about 60,000. Great job outlook. Okay, next.
Oh, someone said PTs don't make a lot of money. And then the PTA have had prerequisites of 2 years and 2 years in the PT program. So we can read that in the chat, but thank you guys for clarifying. I think every state might, I don't know if it's state
No,
by state,
no.
it's
It's
nationwide.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a
okay.
couple of PTs on here and a PTA, so y'all better know your stuff.
well,
And
no,
you know,
we
sometimes
try to know our stuff, but
sometimes
you know,
it's not all about the money as much as it is about the schedule for.
right.
Or
I've
educators.
told you guys, you know, this is self-taught or being around my physical therapist. So I probably make a couple of mistakes. So please jump in if any of this is incorrect, because we are not perfect.
Well, she's an expert with PTs because we'll be able to see all the breaks and stuff
Yeah.
that she has later on in here, or
Right.
some of them.
Yeah, right. Okay. So some of the tools that they use are, they have an ultrasound machine. And can you go to the next page? The top one is an ultrasound machine. And what that does is it has a high frequency sound waves that help the tight muscles, and they help relax the muscles. And it also helps to prepare the tissues for stretching, because stretching is key, but you also have to warm up. There's a TENS unit, and Erika is going to show you what that is.
I love my TENS machine. Love, 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 love. I mean, well, I'm on this one right here. They can see me right here as one of them. When we went actually to the national conference with them, they had in the vendors area a guy selling these, and I love it. You bought one. Last year I was a track coach. This was our secret weapon to keep our athletes healthy whenever they had a strain or a pull or something, to get them ready to go for the next meet. So this was something I really love. Do you want to, oh, it says on there how it works. Use low voltage current going through. When we were doing it, was like, this just feels good on a sore muscle. But then when you went to PT, they said, jack that baby up as far as you can take it, deal with that for 20 minutes. And then what? The
Go
next
home.
day, it was like 80% better.
It's a lot better.
It was a lot better. So I love this. And I'm like, it's sad that I carry this around with me when I go places. I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, I just pulled a muscle just sneezing. So I have to use that. You know, welcome to being old.
Oh, she's not old. There's a moist heat hydroculator, which is on the bottom right. Athletic trainers use those a lot. All right, there is cold ice, which you use ice packs or ice massage in little baggies or little cups. Massage, I know PTs use a lot of massage to for the muscles to make the muscles looser. And but it's not like getting a massage. It's not like, oh, this feels so great. It's like, whoa, what are you doing to me? But that also helps, and it helps loosen it up. And then relatively new is dry needling. And that's on the second line. That was developed a long time ago, but it has really become popular, I would say, in the last 5 to 10 years. What it does is it's a thin needle that pierces the skin, and it's for the trigger points. And what it does is it makes the muscle quiver. And my physical therapist, she's a little crazy. She goes, oh, look at that muscle. It's going crazy. And I feel like I'm going crazy. And eventually that muscle stops and it calms down. And as a result of this, I don't know about you guys. Well, Erika loves it too.
Oh.
It helps. And I get dry needle a lot. It's not acupuncture though. Completely different. Okay, next. All right, PT versus OT. And again, this is a slide mostly for you guys. And PTs are like for the gross areas. I know it's the gross areas, the arms, the legs. Not that they also do other things, the arms and the hands, but OTs, their thing is ADL, activities of daily living. They need to be able to complete a patient or a client how to be able to do stuff. I was surprised. I broke my arm last year.
One of many times.
I had a OT, not a PT. And actually the OT was better than the PT when it came to my arm. And it was a specialized hand therapist, which you can get as a PT or as an OT, and you can make a lot of money. So the OTs focus on the fine motor skills, whereas the PTs focus on the larger muscles or the gross motor skills.
So if I have an athlete and they are, let's say, injured during practice, they would go to
probably their athletic trainer would probably recommend a PT, unless it was a finger or something smaller. But I'm not even sure about that. But if they had a stroke on the field, they would go to an OT.
Okay, so I was going to say if someone had heat stroke.
Well, that I don't know. But if anybody wants to answer it.
I'm looking at these. The dry needling can only be done by acupuncturists in Oregon. I guess here.
No dry acupuncture
And dry needling, two different things.
No, they don't allow dry needling for in here in Georgia. Acupuncturists cannot do dry needling, along with chiropractors. They cannot do dry needling. Only PTs and OTs, I believe, and physicians.
No, we didn't say heat stroke would be taken care of by an AT. What we were saying, someone said reiterate the question. I was trying to talk about the difference between a PT and an OT. And I was trying to say, basically, if a student gets injured, pulls a muscle while practicing, they would most likely go to an PT. But if they had heat stroke.
Well, no, I was just talking about if they had a stroke. Not a
Okay,
heat stroke.
so she's saying a stroke, then they would go to.
Right. They would probably need to be seen by an OT.
Okay, so that's what we were saying. Okay, both PT and OT.
Okay.
For the heat. Okay.
Thank you, guys. I love this feedback. Oh, wait, go back one more thing. For an OT right now, a master's is mandatory.
Stroke, new diagnosis. That's the Ethel and Lucy version of it.
For an OT, you have to get a master's. Eventually, we're hearing that will have to have a doctorate. PTs probably for the last 10 or 15 years, you need a doctorate.
Unless you're grandfathered.
Grandfathered in. All right, here is an x-ray, one of mine, actually.
Two of yours.
Well, actually, two. All right, the one on the left is when I broke my leg 4 years ago. So I had 3 breaks. Now I compare it to my ankle bone, which is below, no fractures in that. But the first arrow was which points to the tibia fracture. That went straight through, just kind of, but luckily it didn't. It stayed aligned. The second tibia fracture was also a complete fracture. No, actually the first wasn't. It didn't go straight through. I mean, but the other 2 did. And one was a fibula fracture. So you guys have x-rays, I'm sure, or can get x-rays all over the place. Use an x-ray. Teach your kids how to do x-rays, how to look at x-rays, what's normal, what's not, and even how to do an x-ray. The picture on the right was my arm that got fractured last year. Now you could see down below, you could see the fracture, how it's not aligned, and it looks actually much worse than it is. That for an old lady like me was only at 6 to 8 weeks recovery, along with OT. But yeah, when I saw it, it was like, oh my gosh, this looks terrible. And they said, no, it's not bad. It's fine. No surgery needed. Okay. Next,
Jeremy, you're talking about her x-ray. She has millions of them. When I talk to her sometimes, she's like, I'm going back to the PT. So I was like, her PT probably needs people because she has 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
Call, I broke this, I'm coming in.
Yeah, I keep my PTs practicing working really well. I think she took a trip to Spain last year. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mary. All right. What do we use? Guys, for this, you guys could use, this is none other than a goniometer.
Well, let's put it on here so that we can see what the goniometer looks like. Okay.
All right. It's actually kind of like, well, it's a small piece of equipment.
Protractor.
Yeah, it's a protractor with angles. Whoever thought that you would need geometry? Okay, well, you did. You
Medical
do.
math.
Yes, you do. You do. So this is a larger one. They have smaller ones for smaller joints. And what happens with this, and the kids love this, they love measuring, is they're measuring range of motion. So you come in and I have my broken arm, and they said, turn it over. I mean, so I could only, like, before I started PT, this was about as far as I could do it. They measured it using the goniometer. They measured the angle. They wrote it down. And with 6 to 8 weeks or whatever of PT, eventually I was able to do this, do this, do this. So it was successful, but how do you just can't eyeball it and go, oh, that looks pretty good. Yeah, you're making headway. This is proof, and especially to the doctors and the insurance companies. So they do that periodically, they measure. All right. So on this, I'm going to do this really quickly. Go do the next slide. Okay, next slide. All right. These are instructions on using a goniometer. Now, hold on, Erica, hold on. Don't be so in such a hurry. This whole thing is for you. I got this from not only my physical therapist, but I looked it up and I practiced and I did whatever I needed to do to be able to show this, to demonstrate this. I am not perfect on this, and the kids won't be perfect either. But what they want to do is, do they want a taste of what this feels like for an OT and a PT? So, that's the whole thing of it. It gives you instructions. I'll probably do this on Erika. If I'm wrong, I am so sorry that I'm not doing it correctly. My physical therapist showed me last night 20 times, but realize there are different planes. There is flexion when you flex, when you go forward. I'm going to be doing her neck. So there's flexion, there's extension, there's rotation, and there's lateral. So let's say I'm going to do her neck, which I shouldn't be doing because the neck's harder.
Okay, this is we're just showing you how the students are working. We were like, well, let's do my neck, because when I had the grandbaby over, we were playing 80s music and I was doing air guitar and gave myself whiplash. So we were like, well, let's see how much I can range of motion I have. So originally,
oh, stop it. It's my
okay.
So there's the stationary arm, and it goes on the joint, or you line it up. And when I say, okay, that's all she could go. Ooh, that's awful. You don't tell the patient that, by the way. It was 30 degrees. Okay. After 6 weeks of PT, she comes and goes, I got to measure you. We got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So, oh my God. It went up to 60 degrees. Not bad. Now, I don't know what's normal, but the PTs do, and they have it written down. So anyway, this is cheap.
45 degrees.
Okay. Oh.
I've been doing yoga too, so that might be a little bit why I'm a little more flexible, and overdid it with the air guitar with the grandbaby. But I'm back to normal now. Just no more.
Whatever normal is for you. This is very cheap. You could buy it off of Amazon. I mean, cheap, like $8-10, or the last time I looked. Okay, you need this for range of motion. So range of motion, this is also an activity we do. Range of motion is you have to keep your muscles and your joints functioning, and you have to measure how far a joint moves in different directions. And there are several different kinds of range of motions. And one is active range. And this is performed by the patient who moves it without receiving help. Now, this is passive. Like if I tell Erika to put oh, baby, you are. Okay, I'm helping her so I could get a better reading on the goniometer, but that's not the reason why. But that I'm doing passive range of motion to help her. Apprehension test. Really? I don't know what that is. Okay, but I'll look into it, I promise. Make sure that movements are slow and gentle because you want to prevent further injury. Okay, it's okay, apprehension test. I love this. Thank you. You should be teaching this. And you better be teaching it in your class. It's an orthopedic test to check the stability of the shoulder.
Okay.
I didn't say that? The active, I thought I said that. Passive, passive is.
You're doing all the work.
Right, yeah, okay.
Active
okay.
is I'm doing.
God, this is like going through a test. No, I'm good. All right, so go to the next slide. My students love doing this. This is a lot. There are 2 pages of competencies. There's a self-check, a peer check, a final check, and the students practice everything. And they say, we can't do this. Well, you know what? I say, practice it twice and you'll be able to do it. And it goes on with flexing and everything with the hands. Keep on going. Exercises the neck, fingers and thumb, position. So it has a lot of stuff in there, and the kids like that. And then when you could do that and you throw in the goniometer, oh my gosh, what a fun class.
I have a question. So would this be something that they could do like on a snow day or something where they have to stay home for some reason, or a sub day? Would they be able to do like the self-check and the peer check?
Absolutely.
And then when you're able to see them again, they do the final check with you.
Right. And if they're like a homebound student, they could have their parent videotape them and send it to you. So you can grade them on that. Oh, phones are amazing, right? Okay. All now, any more problems you address, Erika? Do you want to switch seats? So
no, I think we're good, because I think hopefully everyone is looking at the screen and not Lucy and Ethel doing a lot of stuff. Okay, so as we said, with the various, or with our modules in Medical Science 102, what we do is we have the health science portion, which Dr. Ellen just did, and then we move into the anatomy, which is what I will do. One of the things that I tell students is anatomical directions, and knowing anatomical directions is so important for this part of the health science curriculum, because when we talk about muscles, or when you're documenting muscles, you need to know what the muscle is, and knowing that terminology is a great way of trying to figure out where that muscle is located on the body. So when we talk about medical terminology, we make sure the students know the difference between a cavity, a plane, a direction, and a quadrant. Because a lot of times when they study, they just group it all together, but being able to know it's in this quadrant, or you're going to find it in this cavity, really helps them figure out locations of things. Okay. And as we mentioned before, We have medical terminology, not just in this unit. It's in the very beginning of our medical science 102, and we have the basic, I guess, everything about anatomy in 23 pages. If the students have not had an anatomy background, we see it again in strains, sprains, and fractures, which we briefly mentioned here, and of course with physical therapy and the muscular system. So when we look at the muscles, we have the muscles up. One of the things that the students need to know is how to name the muscles. And the cool thing about naming muscles and bringing in that anatomical directions is if they know location, okay, knowing that is near a nearby bone or a body region, okay? So for example, we have, which one did you, no, we're not going to talk about one of them that you broke. Flexor digitorum superciliaris. My mouth garbled with that one. But then we look at the shapes of them. Is it a trapezoid? Is it round? Is it a rhombozoid? Is it striated? So those are ways that we know how they're named. Muscles get their name from their size. Is it a maximus, meaning it's very large, or minimus is smaller, longus, vastus, okay? And then the origination site, bicep, tricep, quadricep. What does that mean? If they know bi, 2, tri, 3, quad, 4, and then they would be able to look and find those muscles, and then a direction. Is it midline? Is it axis? Is it transverse? Okay. So normally what we do with this is that we play a game with this to see if they can point to the muscle based on what we say. And I'll say like temporalis, can you point to that? And they're like, temporal, we studied that with the skeletal system. So I'm going to point up towards my head. Okay, close enough. Some of them might be back here. Some of them might be over here, but at least if they know it is up here in this area, and then we'll go a little bit into detail. Shape, the trapezius. A lot of our athletes know where the trapezius is, especially if they're lifting weights, near a bone or a body region. The tibia, we talk about that one because that's one that a lot of our track coach, the shin splints and stuff that they would have. The size, a lot of them know about the gluteus maximus. I don't know about where you live, but here in Atlanta, they're overinflating those things around here now, and it looks grotesque. Another story, another seminar. Or an origin. And I love talking about the sternocleidomastoid. I'll throw that one in there, and they're like, what? I'm like, break that word down and see if you can find where it is located. And they get close. So that's one of the ones that I throw in to see if they really understand how muscles get their names. Okay, then a couple of science facts that I'll give them. I know that when I'm teaching anatomy, I cannot go over in detail every muscle in the body. There are just too many of them, and it's usually.
What kind of teacher are you?
I'm one that's trying to finish and get them out by May or the end of the school year, because I don't think anybody would be happy if we're like, we're still learning muscles. Sorry, you're not graduating. Okay, because I taught seniors, so they would have wouldn't
have been happy.
Yeah, they would not have been happy. So I go over the largest muscle in the body, the smallest muscle, the strongest muscle with the bite force. I usually show the videos of the animals and the bite forces comparison. The most flexible muscle, also the meanest muscle in the body, is the tongue.
Listen, no, I have to tell you, my grandson could touch his tongue all the way to his nose. Okay, I wonder if any of your children could do that.
Okay. And then one of the things I thought was cool is If I wanted to keep them there a little bit longer, we could talk about things like just a couple of years ago, there was a recently discovered muscle near the quadricep. They just thought it was part of the quadricep, but then they were like, no, it has a different insertion point. And so they named it based on where it was found, teeny tiny muscle, or not that small, near the quadriceps. Okay. Also with the muscular system, something that I like to talk about, especially with high school students, because this is something that sometimes they might tour with this or think about doing this, especially our young men, is anabolic steroids. Okay. Talking about the biochemical nature of it, what they are, and telling them it's a synthetic drug, mimics male hormone, testosterone. A lot of them don't think it's that big of a deal because they can go to a store around here and get something like a creatine or something, muscle enhancement. And they're like, oh, cool, I'll take this and work out, especially if they're in high school. You know, those guys, they come in as freshmen, little bony little things, and then they want to build up and increase their muscle mass. And so they're like, well, I'll take this steroid to do that. And it does actually increase their muscle mass and the strength of the bone. A lot of them, the facial hair is really big on them. Even my brother, when he was in high school, used to draw on his mustache and stuff with my eyeliner. Okay. So doing something like the steroids, they're like, it's going to grow my body hair and all these kind of things that they think of the great things that can happen with them, not thinking about the side effects. And so those are some of the things that I like to talk about with them is, you know, it could cause kidney and liver damage that, you know, could be irreversible, mental instability, and something that the high school students don't think about. It could even render them sterile if they use it for a prolonged period of time or too much of it in a period of time. I know with this, I was having a lot of problems with my athletes that were wrestlers that would do this and trying to make weight and everything. Roid rage, exactly.
And also, yes, they are very angry,
Aggressive.
so, and that's really scary.
Hey, so one of the things that we've done through Medical Science 101 and Medical Science 102 is that we've gone over some, not all. We cannot do all of the diseases and disorders and stuff of a particular body system, nor do we know all of them. So we try to get like some common ones that may have heard of, or some that, you know, are interesting, that they might find interesting to research. And we would usually have them do a chart. And then we were like, well, they would get bored doing a chart all the time. So we thought of, let's do this. I don't know if you guys, some of you may have already downloaded some of our modules, or even Medical Science 101 or 102, the entire thing. So what we did was we said, let's make an art museum where the students would be assigned to a different disease or disorder, and they had to put on a sheet of paper, a regular sheet of typing paper, the information that you would want them to have. Okay, and so some of the things that we wanted to make sure we had: the name of the disease that had to be there. What is it? What does it do to the body? Is there a treatment or cure for it? And then what is the prognosis for someone who has this disease or disorder? And of course, some type of visual that goes along with it. Okay, this is something that you can add different things that you may want them to do, may decide to tweak some of the stuff, but this is just a basic idea of something that we would have them do. So we had them do ALS.
Well, we had somebody do ALS.
Yes. And so they would have what, about 90 minutes or so?
90 minutes, well, probably a little less than 90 minutes, and they have to work really fast.
Yes. I like for them to write out the stuff, because generally if you have them in school, I'm not saying your students did this, but mine would. If we gave them time in class, they're going to get on that phone. They're just going to be flipping, doing this, Instagramming, all this kind of stuff. But if they have a definite timeline, and then at the end of the class, if you're on traditional schedule, they have to leave their stuff in the classroom so that they can't take it home and try to work on it really quickly at home and then bring it back in. The other thing I liked about this is that my artist would draw the most beautiful images. And it was something that, you know, I was like, D, put the DNA. Somebody said something? Okay. Somebody, the DNA strand or something like that in there when they were talking about something that was genetic. And what we did was, the reason why we called it an art museum is that as we went through the units, we would put them up on the wall to display. And then the students would come around the next day like an art gallery, and they had to get the information that you wanted them to have off of each of the posters. So they had to make sure they did it. But another good thing about this, I am not a fan of reading papers that these kids write that are 3 and 5 pages long, because they try to stretch it out. You're like, oh my God, how much of this can I read? But if you're forced to put it in a sheet of paper, just one side, they can't do it on both sides. I tell them Picasso is not a two-sided art piece. It is one side. So they have to put everything on one side. And then the other thing I would say, being a former administrator, going in and doing evaluations, we actually love to go into a classroom and see the work of the students on the displayed in the room.
And what's really cool is if it's 90 minutes, we collect it usually and make them hang it the next day. And the kids that really did a bad job on it, they're embarrassed, because the kids can get so creative with their artistic skills and their little dingies and doies, and they love it. And I promise you that that group of kids that are 2 and 3, they won't have a crummy one in the next time, because they're embarrassed, because they see their peers just kind of overlook it and laugh. And unfortunately.
So, and it's really cool when you go in, you see the progression over the semester, where it's the digestive system, the skeletal system, a muscular system, all of the systems that you're able to do in that period of time, they're up on the board and it's student work.
Right. And we have on there museum, of when we were at South Cobb, and they like that. They like doing that. All right.
Okay. So we hope we did not bore you.
Or that you didn't bore them.
Oh, I didn't bore them. And I hope that you guys could figure out who is Lucy and who is Ethel.
I'm Ethel.
Okay. But thank you. If you want to know more about the things that we have done, we have a Medical Science 102 book that came out. And actually, for you guys, you can go to Teacher Pay Teacher, and we have a sale starting tomorrow for everything that we have is 20% off. You can get a quick little overview to see if it's anything on there that you like. We have a Facebook, but we're bad about updating it. This morning I was like, oh, maybe we should have put that we're doing a webinar.
Oh, God.
Okay. But one of the other cool things that we do is that we actually have a YouTube channel where we have 3 to 5 minute videos on some of the competencies that the students are required to do in 101.
Right. And it's like silly, but it seems like everybody likes it. And it's because we act kind of silly together. So
how would they search your YouTube channel?
It is actually E2 Educational Experiences.
Okay.
And yeah, feel free. Also, I know Nancy is putting this on her website. we will put this on our E-Squared Educational Experiences website. It will be under PowerPoints. So feel free to use it. I mean, we'd be happy for you to use it. Our email is on the bottom, but I'll give you my phone number if you want, Erica, you want to put it in. Call me. I will get back with you, I promise. 58, you know it, 8803.
All right. Are you putting it in?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have, I think, 3 minutes for questions, or there anything that you want to say. We love working with you guys, and we're happy to be here. And thank you, Nancy,
Yes.
for letting us come.
Who knew you were going to have so many physical therapists and athletic trainers in the house? Hey, that kept you on your toes.
I know, it was like, oh my God, my worst nightmare.
Well, you didn't see my message, and that was your students won't be as smart as this audience.
No, yes. But you know what?